Hello everybody. Welcome back to DrDarnise's House of Religion, Magic, and Conjure. As you can see, I got a different background here going. I'm just out for a walk, and this fountain just seems so refreshing at the moment. Took a little bit of a break, had to get away. Y'all know how it is in these days. So anyway, I'm back, feeling a little refreshed, but y'all, I have so many things going on. A lot of requests for my time, and I'm grateful for it, and I'm reminded of what my role is here, as a teacher, as a spiritual person, as a coach, helping other people along their spiritual path and understanding their own life purpose. So it's good for me to get away, sometimes too, and decompress and to rethink. And so this video is really about a question that I was mulling over in the last week, and about spirituality. What is spirituality? What is it, when we even say that I'm spiritual? What does that mean? Or to say I'm spiritual and not religious, like so many people want to say. And I was like, well, what is a definition? Or maybe definition is too, not even appropriate. But what is the working concept of that? And it just came to mind, spirituality is not something that you can really define, right? It's like the awareness that there is something larger, something more going on than just what I know, what I can see. I'm sorry if this is a little jumpy, because I am holding it in my hands as I do this. This is a very spontaneous, impromptu video. So the awareness that there's something else and something greater, and how do we relate to it? And the ways in which we relate to that, something else, if we want to call it God or divine or the transcendent, the universe, Jesus, however you want to relate to it, is your spirituality. What do you do to relate to this entity that's so much bigger than ourselves? What do you make of it? I always say my working definition, especially in my classes for religion, is a system that allows us to get some answers to very basic human questions, right? Like, who am I? What is the meaning of my life? And what happens when I die? And then, and where does everything come from? Right? And so it's like the human psyche and our soul and our minds want answers to these questions, and so we develop ways of trying to answer those. And so some people do that through science, philosophy. I do that through spirituality and metaphysics. Some people look at nature and say, well, what is the origin of nature? Who created all of this, right? And they start with that, and they observe nature, and they say, well, that's my spirituality, because whatever created all of this, I recognize it. And we find in indigenous spiritualities, the African and indigenous all over the world, that's where they start, and that's where they kind of stay closer to that than those of us in more technological societies. They stay closer to the rhythms of nature. And we, as we know, they're often demonized for that, right? Or they're told that they're primitive, that they worship nature, they worship trees and rivers and water. And it's not a matter of worshiping them as the source. It's just an acknowledgement that, yeah, we're all connected on some level, because none of us is the creator. We're all created. As a lot of Native Americans say, we're created, all of us. And so we share in this universe that the Creator created. So spirituality then is this awareness of it. I mean, it could just be that simple, people, really. Spirituality is the acknowledgement that there's something that lives in me that's greater than me, something that will continue after me, and something after that I don't have the answer to, but it actually breathes the entire existence. It's what makes the sun come out. It's what makes grass green. It's what makes plants grow up through concrete. You know, sometimes you see that, like a single blade of grass or flower growing up out of concrete. What is that? That's the spirit, or the ashe, or the chi. In Asian cultures, they'll call it the chi. Y'all know I do Tai Chi. In the African, we say it's the ashe of life that just insists on being. It can't not be. Likewise with us, when we transition from this human experience, we can't not be. So anyway, spirituality is that. How do you honor that on a daily basis? How do you relate to it? And that becomes your spirituality. What do you understand that, how are you supposed to relate to other living beings based upon your spirituality? I always say, does it make your, whatever your religion or spirituality, does it help you be a better person? Does it push you to do things that are uncomfortable for the sake of something bigger than yourself? Right? And so we're more acquainted with religion a lot of times, right? A set of rules and doctrines and dogmas that basically tell you what you can't do and tell you all the ways in which you fall short and that you'll be punished as a result. And that doesn't feel right to people anymore, as we see. That doesn't feel right to people anymore. And so they've abandoned it. They are abandoning that model. And people are wanting a life-giving spirituality. As my friend, the Reverend Dr. Monica A. Coleman says, we all want a faith that liberates. We want a spirituality that liberates. And so, and that's from her book, Bipolar Faith. I'll put a link to that below. But yeah, I just want to come on with that and ask you, you know, what is your understanding of spirituality? What do you think? How do you manage it day to day? I know if you're on this channel, you have some interest in taking matters into your own hands through things like, you know, what we call magical practices, hoodoo and such. And, you know, I'm all here for that as well. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. And let me know what you think of this fountain background. Hope the video wasn't too shaky. But thank you for supporting. The channel continues to grow. I appreciate y'all. Join me on Patreon. I'm doing a lot more metaphysical deep dive teachings over there. So if you're interested in things like, you know, the nature of the universe and the expansion of the soul and the evolution of the soul and where we're all going, I'm making some videos like that on Patreon for those who want a real deep dive. All right, let's see. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, support in any way. I appreciate it. Bye.